What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Well, in today's video we are getting back on the B20 Vtec CRV. Going to be working on the oil pressure issues this thing has. Okay, so the car seems to be falling out of VTEC. Once you get high in the RPMs. Yeah, that's not nearly enough PSI to keep VTEC happy. All right, so that's kind of a bummer, but at least I know what's going on. So it looks like I'm gonna have to buy an oil pump for this turd. So what I want to do before we install this race pump is I want to install this really cheap oil pressure gauge here. In the last video we went ahead and tested the oil pressure at the head right here, and during VTEC it was only like 25 psi, which is not enough to keep VTEC engaged at high RPM. So that's the reason why we're doing the pump. But I want to install this gauge to see what the oil pressure is at the block during like idle, before I do the pump and then after I do the pump, so we can kind of see what this thing will do before, you know, before and after, what the results are kind of. All right, so this is just a really inexpensive oil pressure gauge I got on the eBay. I think it was around 30 to 40 bucks. So here is the sender. I'm gonna go ahead and hook this up to the sandwich plate I have that directs the oil to the VTEC oil pressure sensor. Oh, okay. All right, so this is not as easy as I thought it was gonna be. The port on the sandwich plate, I got it unscrewed. There's like a plug that goes in it, but screwing this in, it hits, I think, the coolant pipe that runs across the block. So I can't get it in there straight. Also, there is a oil pressure switch that goes into the block right next to it. I was thinking about just pulling that out and putting this in its place and you know, give me readings and stuff like that. But the only problem with that is that the way this thing looks, is once I thread it into the block, there ain't enough room for me to put a wrench on it to actually tighten this up. The style of OEM sensor, it pretty much is a socket that goes over it, and you can use a wrench like that from down here to tighten it up. But you actually would need to get like an open end wrench up in there to tighten this thing up. So this is going to leak everywhere. So to properly do it, you need to either take out the alternator, take out this axle, and so you can get to the side of it and tighten it up, or take the intake off and go from the top. I'm not doing all that. I just thought it'd be kind of cool to get a good reading off of the block and to see the before and after. Well, that's not gonna happen. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna thread this into the head and do readings before and after on the head. Okay, since I am just having VTEC PSI issues, this should be able to give me a before and after, which I know right now it's about 25 PSI. We'll see if the pump pumps that up. Hopefully this clears the head. So I've already had to change my shirt already because it's drenched, because today is like 101 degrees. Yeah, I'm working in the driveway because there's a breeze. There's no way I'm gonna work in the garage right now. It is just way too hot. It's just crazy hot. The summertime, trying to make real good videos is tough. It's like super tough. The heat is just super unmotivating. Really need to get a shop with AC. I mean. All right, so I don't have a pod for this, so it's probably just gonna live in the cup holder for now. But as far as power goes, all this thing needs is ground, the ignition source, and the signal wire coming off the sensor. I'm gonna tap everything off the cigarette lighter. It's the easiest spot to get all that from. It is hot, 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 hot. Well, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that gauge I got off eBay. It's a cheap gauge, but it looks pretty good. I like how it can, you know, it does the sweeping. It doesn't look super duper cheap for like 30, 40 bucks. Pretty surprising, but a little disappointed that I didn't hook it up to the block to get the pressure off the block. So basically, it's just a Vtec diagnostic gauge. It will kind of let me know when I'm out there beating it up that that the motor still has PSI, but I guess it's good for this video. It's gonna confirm a fix or not. We'll see. We'll see if that ACL pump fixes this. But yeah, got some Skunk 2 lost motion assemblies that I'm gonna go ahead and throw in while I have everything apart. You know, I gotta take the timing apart, everything apart to put that oil pump in. So we're gonna do some LMAs also, because I'm pretty sure I have a bad one. There's a lot of noise happening up here in the valve train with one of the intake ones. So that's going to be a different video. I'm going to show you guys how to do these without taking the head off and doing it on the bench. You can do it in the engine bay. Some people say you can't, but you can. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get started on the oil pump. All right, we're gonna need to take the timing belt off now, and before we do that, we need to put cylinder 1 at TDC. I already have my timing marks marked with a yellow pin. The pulleys actually have these little dots. We're gonna match these little dots together, and then down here on the crank pulley, there's also some dots you gotta match up. B-series, it actually spins counterclockwise, okay? So when you turn the motor over, you're gonna wanna go counterclockwise, all right? So you get all these marks marked up. So we're just gonna do that with the top one, and then we'll come down here at the bottom. So right here on the sprocket, you'll see this line, okay? And then on the pump itself, there's a little arrow back here. When you got those lined up, you're in time. All right, so I definitely want to check cylinder 1 to make sure it's at TDC. So I'm gonna pull out the plug, get a screwdriver, and see if it bottoms out right away. So it bottoms out right at the top, so we are good. All right, so the timing belt tensioner is this 14mm bolt you gotta loosen, and then it will let go of the belt. Okay, so it is the next day. Got a little bit of air conditioning work going on. I took the Integra out. I haven't taken it out since I got the new wheels on it and did the transmission and stuff like that. Took it to go get a haircut, and the AC is not really working very well. Right now I'm just pulling a vacuum on it, and I'm gonna charge it up. Got a big old tank of refrigerant, got a scale, got everything. I think this thing takes about 22 pounds of refrigerant, no, 22 ounces, I'm sorry. And see what happens. Earlier when it was running, I had the gauges hooked up to it. High side was a little high. These things are notorious for the expansion valves taking a dump.
This thing has 140,000 miles on it. It looks like the original compressor. So it probably wants a expansion valve. It probably could use a compressor. But yeah, gotta take a little break, do this real quick, and get back on the CRV. Basically, at the point where we just need to pull the pump off, put the new one on, button it up.
Open up this big old bottle of refrigerant here. Got the scale. And then we'll got a vacuum on it. I'm just gonna open up the low side and just slowly put 22 ounces in, or about 1.5 pounds. Man, distributor sounds like crap in this thing. 21, and that's 22. Hopefully, it just needs some refrigerant. Hopefully. Probably wants a compressor. Yay! Okay, got that oil pump all in. Really wasn't too bad. Worst part is just playing with the greasy, oily pan. The quality of the pump is pretty good looking. It's now time for lost motion assemblies. Go over that in the next video.